Hey, what's up everybody? This is Mr. 008 here, and today I have for you a video discussing the patch notes of the brand new Bloons Tower Defense 6 update. Version 32.0 is officially out, and everybody can play the new stuff now. Check out the new contested territory, teams, and the Engineer Paragon, the new map, Quarry, the new Voidora skin, and a select few other things that have been brought to the update. So I have made a couple of videos prior to this one about this same update. So in this video, I will not be going over what I already have in previous videos. Instead, I will be talking about the things that were not known just yet, that were not publicly released yet, as of those other videos being released, most notably the balance changes. So let's go to the balance changes section of this Reddit post right here. And here we have some balance changes, so let's talk about them. First, the Moab Press Boomerang is being increased in price from $2,200 to $2,400. And the reason for that is because Ninja Kiwi believes it's a little bit too strong, which makes sense. I've seen a lot of good strategies that involve the Moab Press, so especially when spamming a bunch of them all together. They're more prominent in battles too than BTD6, but they are still pretty strong in BTD6, so I think that's a fair change to make. Next, the Moab Mauler Moab damage bonus is being reduced from 18 extra damage to 15. And that also has to do with a lot of strategies relying on spamming that tower specifically. However, Tier 4, the Moab Assassin, is not being changed because there are not a lot of spammy strategies regarding the 4th tier. So that's also a fair change in my opinion. Moving on, we have some Ice Monkey changes. So let's get to those. The Enhanced Freeze is too good at low tiers. Ninja Kiwi has stated, allowing full stun lock of ceramics for a very cheap price. As a fire rate increase alone of the Enhanced Freeze is a powerful addition. So the Enhanced Freeze freeze duration is being reduced from 2.2 to 1.75 seconds. However, the Deep Freeze, which is not a highly used upgrade for the Ice Monkey, is going to retain that same 2.2 second freeze duration that you could previously get out of the first tier. So the second tier upgrade will be more necessary for certain strategies involving Enhanced Freeze. I think that's a welcome change because the first tier upgrade just gives you a little too much, whereas the second tier upgrade is one that most people never even go for. So it's a good change to see. Permafrost was previously reduced to a lower price than we'd like to try to increase desirability of the crosspath. So the reworks to Metal Freeze have had more success in pulling that crosspath ahead. So Ninja Kiwi wants to try and balance out that crosspath so that it's not like too much more used than the other Ice Monkey crosspath, depending on whether you're going for a middle path or a bottom path Ice Monkey. This is more so applicable, presumably, to the bottom path because Icicle Impale and its two preceding upgrades are like a lot more commonly used, from what I've seen at least, than the Absolute Zero, Arctic Wind, and all of that. Those upgrades along the middle path are more like specific to certain strategies that are not very common and not very widespread, and to certain challenges and things like that. I have seen those towers, especially the Absolute Zero, used in certain challenges. So let's see, the permafrost price is being increased from $100 to $150. And also there are some changes to the cryo cannon. The cryo cannon has now been overperforming compared to any towers that perform similar roles with either crosspath, so it's also seeing a general reduction in its popping power. So its price is being increased from $19.50 to $22.50. And also its attack speed is being reduced from 1 per 1 second to once every 1.2 seconds, which, if my math is correct, that is a 16.6 repeating percent nerf. If we're purely talking about the popping power, but the nerf is technically greater than that due to the fact that it also has a price change. So the Sniper Monkey is next. The middle path is too strong for how easy it is to use, while having infinite range and cash production as well. So the +1 pierce increase from the shrapnel shot, once you get the tier 3, the bouncing bullet, in addition to the added bounce. So that 1 pierce bonus is being removed. So the shrapnel pierce is being reduced from 3 to 2 at tier 3. And also the tier 4, the supply drop shrapnel pierce, is being reduced from 6 to 5. Also, main Moab's grouped stun potential when crosspathed with shrapnel shot is a little bit high. It's a little bit overperforming. So the shrapnel will now have a reduced stun amount compared to the initial target hit. So the initial balloon that is struck is not going to be affected by these changes, and so it obviously won't matter if you don't get shrapnel shot and instead go for the faster firing crosspath. So yeah, it's an interesting change, and I feel that's fair, especially because shrapnel shot is the favored crosspath generally. But if you were to get, for example, a 502 cripple, that would not be affected, especially like if you're doing a boss run, because of wanting to apply that crippling effect to the boss balloon so that lower damage towers like Taxone will be a lot more effective for that. So it won't nerf the viability of the tower against boss balloons as long as you get the bottom crosspath. So yeah, I think this is another good change. So the stats are right here. The main Moab shrapnel stun is about 33% less effective, as the shrapnel stun will only apply to 2 seconds for Moabs instead of 3, 1 second to BFBs instead of 1.5, and half a second instead of 3/4 of a second to ZOMGs. So, okay, I don't see DDTs getting changed on there, so it's interesting, because I'm pretty sure you can stun DDTs. It just doesn't work on bad balloons for the any kind of stunning or just any kind of effect, regardless of which tower it is. But in this case, the main Moab. But there are a lot of other towers like Superstorm, for example, that can knock back Moab class balloons, Icicle Impale, and Super Glue to slow them down or bring them to a complete stop. That do not work on bads. There is no tower in the game that can slow or knock back or freeze or otherwise change the movement speed of the biggest balloon in the game that isn't a boss balloon. But moving on with the balance changes, 520 Cripple Moab, Shrapnel Stun and Debuff duration is being reduced from 7 seconds to 4.5 seconds for Moabs, 6 to 4 for BFBs, 3 to 2 for ZOMGs, 4 seconds down to 2.5 for DDTs, and 0.75 seconds for the debuff specifically, down to 0.5 for bad balloons. Again, bads cannot be stunned. So Monkey Sub, this has to do with its ability to reveal camo balloons to other towers permanently. So the pierce of that is being reduced because other towers like Shimmer and Signal Flare and Embrittlement are all pierce limited, and they do the same thing. They decamo balloons, so it's fair to make these changes as well to bring the Submerged Sub in alignment with other towers that do the same thing. It does not list the previous pierce values here, but I'm guessing they were extremely high. So the Submergent support, 3XX, can only decamo 100 balloons per pulse. Now the 310 is being reduced to 120, and 320 will be 150. And the 500 Energizer camo pulse rate, or pierce rather, is being reduced to 1,000 per pulse. So in almost all cases, this shouldn't make a difference, but maybe for races it will make a difference. But almost any other time, even on round 78, the 75 camo ceramics at the end of the round, they'll all still get decamoed in a single pulse. So for most cases, this shouldn't be much of a difference. It's more so in nature to, from the numbers, I'd say it's more in nature similar to the changes brought to the Blade Maelstrom and the Ground Zero, limiting their pierce, for example. The Navarch of the Seas feels too dominant over other expensive Paragons, so it feels overused even on many maps that don't have a lot of water, and thus you can't get a high degree on, at least without like putting down tons and tons of Paragon power totems from Geraldo. So the price is being increased from 500,000 to 550,000 for the Navarch. The Nevamis targeting has been generally overperforming for quite a cheap tier 3 for the Monkey Ace, so its price is being increased from $2,200 to $2,800. However, the Spectre is being decreased by that same margin, so this will only be a price increase if you were to stop at the tier 3 or to spam a bunch of these tier 3s down on the map. However, if you go for Spectre instead, whether it's one Spectre or a bunch of Spectres, it's not going to affect that price-wise or in any other way. Helipilot's blowback has always been extremely effective from early on, and as players have become more knowledgeable, the use into late game as well only seems to go up, especially against Super Ceramics, because Super Ceramics, in case you did not know, start spawning on round 81, and they have 60 hit points instead of 10, and Fortified Super Ceramics have 120 hit points instead of 20. However, even though they are faster and stronger, they only spawn one rainbow balloon instead of two once the ceramic shell is popped, and that one rainbow spawns one zebra, which spawns one black and one white, just like a normal zebra balloon does. However, each of those will only spawn one pink balloon instead of two. So, that's a brief overview of how super ceramics work. In some ways, they're annoying, but they're also meant to reduce lag by having less individual bloons on the screen at one time in the late game. So downdraft blowback distance is being reduced from a minimum of 32 and a maximum of 300 per pulse, if you will, down to a minimum of 32 and a maximum of only 150. However, for the support Chinook, that is remaining the same as the old downdraft. So the tier 4 is not getting nerfed. Speaking of which, I'm not sure if the Icicles and Icicle Impale are getting nerfed, because it does not mention the attack speed of the tier 4 and 5 versions of the Cryo Cannon up here. But I am hoping and expecting that only the tier 3 is being nerfed and not the tier 4 and 5 as well, especially not the tier 5. Because I do really like the Icicle Impale, and I think it's a great tower. But then again, because of how great it is, Ninja Kiwi may feel that it's better off nerfed, but it does not mention that in the patch notes, so I would presume that that is not the case. So moving on, we have the Wizard Monkey. There are some cross-pathing changes. So once you have the guided magic cross-path on the Dragon's Breath, it can now attack through walls, and I'm guessing that also applies to elevation-based changes involving the line of sight, because anything line of sight related, whether it's because of a height change or a obstacle or a wall, anything of that nature, the guided magic crosspath allows the wizard to bypass those kinds of obstacle related issues. So that's nice that's being applied to the Dragon's Breath as well. I'm surprised it wasn't the case already, but that's good to see that change taking effect here. Also, the Fireball Pierce, if you have the Intense Magic Crosspath, is being increased in Pierce from 15 to 20. The Legend of the Night is also getting a significant buff. I honestly am glad that this is finally coming to the game, and I feel like this is long overdue, personally. Sorry if I sound a little like I have a sore throat or something. So apologies for that, and hopefully it's not like a hindrance to the quality of the video for you, the viewers. So getting back to the balance changes, Legend of the Night damage is being doubled from 5 to 10, ceramic bonus damage from 2 to 4, and the Moab bonus damage is being increased from 3 to 8. So the overall Moab damage is being increased from 8 to 18, according to that, which means that the Legend of the Night against Moab class bloons in particular will be, I believe that is 2.25 times as powerful, going from 8 damage up to 18. So that's a nice welcome change to have. The Druid is getting some changes. The Druid of the Jungle, Bramble Piles left on the track, is being changed from normal to sharp. Nothing's mentioned about the 4th tier here, so I'm not sure if that's getting changed or not. However, once you get the Hard Thorns crosspath, the Bramble Piles damage type goes back from sharp up to normal, so it will be able to pop leads as long as you have the Hard Thorns, but otherwise you will need another source of lead popping power. Spirit of the Forest base attack damage is being buffed massively from 2 to 20. And I feel like that's a great change to have because the Spirit of the Forest does have some money benefits and is great at balloon popping power. However, it does not do much to Moabs. And having that being buffed so that not only will the vines do some Moab damage, and not even that much at that, but some to where each each set of thorns thrown out by the druid will now deal a total of 160 damage instead of 16, since there are 8 of them, and Thorn Swarm is a prerequisite upgrade to Spirit of the Forest. So each shot will be almost enough to take out one Moab. So that's nice to have, and it will also help against ZOMGs, Bads, and some other larger Moab class balloons like that. Also, Spike Factory is getting a big buff to the damage over time of the super mines, and it definitely isn't that effective. I haven't done much testing with it, and super mines is not used that much, so I'm glad that this is getting that this change is going to be in effect with this new update. So the damage per tick is being increased from 1 to 500 for the super mines, so that's very nice to see. Monkey Village, the Monkeyopolis is getting nerfed. The Monkeyopolis will only increase your income, or rather, generate income of $200 per crate per $2,000 sacrificed, rather than 300. So the amount of money in the farms sacrificed will only give you 10% of that per crate instead of 15%. So I'm not sure if that technically means that the Monkeyopolis only gives you 2/3 of the money that it used to, or if there is something more complex behind this. But I do understand that, so you will not get as much money from this tower, which definitely is going to nerf the viability of income on boss runs overall. So it's interesting, and it's a little bit disappointing, but I do understand the need for this change, because of the space saving aspect being a little bit too viable as far as the effectiveness of the tower is concerned. So Adora is getting some buffs in her true form. I'm guessing that means her transformed version once you get her to level 20 and then get a true sun god. So that form of Adora is getting a buff to her Ball of Light ability, a Pierce buff from 43 to 48, and a damage buff to 100. It does not say what the old value was, but that's nice because I do not really see much in terms of Adora's true version, like her true sun god, her transformed version being used. So overall, that's a nice welcome change. And Geraldo is getting some big nerfs. I'll go over these pretty quickly. His Jar of Pickles, which unlocks at level 1, the price of the Jar of Pickles is being increased from $50 to $100. Also, its duration is being reduced from 8 rounds to 5, so that's a 37.5% decrease. The invisibility potion can no longer target a number of towers that do not have attacks, including monkey villages, so the higher level versions will not be able to be applied to monkey villages and give them range increases, so you will not be able to use that potion to get a larger Monkeyopolis with more farms being absorbed by the upgrade. So Glue Trap now expires from the track after 4 rounds and has a Pierce of 300, or it had a Pierce of 300, but that is going down to 100 with this update. His Sharpening Stone now expires after 15 rounds. I'm not sure what its old value was in that regard, but it will now expire after 15 rounds. The Blade Maelstrom max stock is being reduced from 5 to 3, and the price of the trap is being increased from $500 to $650. The Genie, which is unlocked at level 12, will only last 2 rounds instead of 3. The Super Maelstrom no longer will last longer than the regular Maelstrom trap. So it will still have increased Pierce, and it will still have the 4 spirals of blades instead of 2. However, it will not last any longer, so it will not be like that much better than the regular Maelstrom. Still better, but not that much better. The Rejuvenation Potion is being increased in price from $1,000 to $2,000, and Geraldo's mustache will no longer contain hidden glue rats. Makes sense, he was just too OP before the update. And as is stated in the notes above or towards the top of your screen, Geraldo is intentionally, or was intentionally made to be stronger than most other heroes, if not all other heroes. However, that is because of him needing to be micromanaged, and the fact that you need to, use a lot of the items from his shop and place them down every so often. So given that, it makes sense for him to be as strong as, to be stronger than most heroes, but not to be as strong as he was pre-update. That was just too strong. Also, Vortex is getting buffed. So Vortex's stun radius has been proven to be a little too small, allowing for some cheesier strategies than Ninja Kiwi has intended to be used on Vortex. But instead of a flat increase at all tiers, Ninja Kiwi decided to trial a slight increase up throughout each tier. So Vortex at tier 2 will have a stun radius of 65 instead of 60. 70 at level 3, 75 at level 4, and 80 at level 5, or tier 5 rather. But just a quick note on that, the math is, notice it says stun radius, not stun area, so that has to be taken into account. So it's not as simple as 80 divided by 60 is 1.3 repeating, so the radius or the area of effect is 33% greater. It's not as simple as that. You have to actually take into account that it is area, so the stun area, if the stun radius is 60, the stun area is 3600 pi, so the if the radius is 80, that means the stun area is 6400 pi, so it's approximately 70% larger for tier 5 than it was originally, and then what it will be like it was before for tier 1. So the area will be about 70% larger, as I previously stated, at the max tier compared to the lowest tier. Just want to be clear there with what I'm trying to say, because there are some people who may be confused by the math that I'm doing, but it's pretty simple, at least from my perspective, it is. And there are a couple of things regarding moving forward in BTD 6 that Ninja Kiwi is discussing in this Reddit post. So I will make another video about that pretty soon and discuss what will be coming according to Ninja Kiwi's announcements, what will be coming to BTD6 in the near future. So stay tuned for that. There are some plans listed for the game going so far as to the end of this year. So stay tuned for that video. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed. More content will be coming out regarding Update 32.0, both in terms of these types of videos and in terms of actual gameplay with contested territory, the new Paragon, and things of that nature. So thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more interesting content. And I will talk to you all again in the next video. Peace out.